In the heart of Washington, D.C., where history echoes from every monument, an unexpected secret lay dormant for over a century. During recent renovations at the iconic Smithsonian Castle, which began in early 2023, construction crews were preparing the ground for routine utility upgrades. They were working along Jefferson Drive, a service road that runs adjacent to the historic building. The work seemed straightforward, strengthening the foundation and preparing for modern infrastructure that would support the castle for another generation. The ground beneath the National Mall is known to be complex, but no one anticipated what they were about to uncover just below the surface. Workers carefully peeled back the layers of modern asphalt and older roadbeds. Their plans called for digging trenches for new pipes and electrical conduits. They expected to find a familiar mix of soil, clay, and maybe even some remnants of old construction debris from a bygone era. The daily hum of machinery was a familiar sound against the backdrop of the nation's capital. But on one particular day in October 2025, the rhythmic scrape of a backhoe was interrupted by a solid thud. The machine had struck something hard, something that was not on any of the official blueprints or historical surveys of the area. The discovery brought all work to a sudden halt. What emerged from the earth was not just a forgotten piece of rubble, but the top of a meticulously constructed circular brick structure. Curiosity quickly turned to cautious excitement as the crew cleared away more soil, revealing the full circumference of the mysterious chamber. It was a perfectly round void descending into the darkness below. Initial speculation ran wild. Could this be a forgotten cellar from a pre-Smithsonian building? Or perhaps the entrance to one of the rumored secret tunnels that supposedly crisscross beneath the National Mall? The discovery was a complete surprise, a historical puzzle box that had been accidentally unearthed. The team immediately contacted Smithsonian historians and preservation experts. The find was clearly old, but its purpose remained a complete mystery. The beautifully laid bricks suggested it was a deliberate and important construction, not just an abandoned well or a random sinkhole. As experts gathered at the site, the air was thick with questions and anticipation. The renovation of the castle was already a monumental task, aiming to preserve its architectural grandeur. Now, it had an added layer of historical intrigue. This unexpected find was a tangible link to a much earlier chapter in the Smithsonian's long and storied history, waiting to be deciphered. As historians delved into the archives, the truth about the chamber began to surface, and it was more practical than sensational. The structure was identified as a cistern, built in 1847, a full 8 years before the Smithsonian Castle itself was completed in 1855. This revelation was astonishing. The underground chamber predated the very building it was meant to serve. Measuring approximately 9 feet in diameter and descending 30 feet into the earth, it was a remarkable piece of 19th century engineering. For over 120 years, it had been sealed and forgotten, and when it was finally opened, it was found to be completely dry, its original purpose long since obsolete. The cistern's function was simple yet ingenious. It was designed to collect and store rainwater. In an era before Washington, D.C. had a reliable municipal water system, institutions like the fledgling Smithsonian had to be self-sufficient. Rainwater would have been channeled from the roofs of nearby buildings or from the ground surface into this massive underground tank. The stored water was then used for a variety of essential, non-potable tasks. It was likely used for cleaning floors and windows, watering the surrounding gardens, and perhaps even for mixing mortar during the castle's lengthy construction. It was a vital piece of infrastructure for its time. The reason for its disappearance from memory is a story of progress. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, Washington, D.C. underwent a massive transformation. A modern, centralized water system was established, providing clean, piped water directly to buildings across the city. Suddenly, the need for a large, manually managed rainwater cistern vanished. The structure became redundant, an artifact of an older, less convenient time. It was likely sealed, covered over by the new road, and simply forgotten, as decades of development and change reshaped the National Mall above it. Out of sight, it truly became out of mind. While the discovery sparked public imagination, with many hoping for hidden treasures or secret presidential passageways, the National Park Service quickly confirmed the reality. In a statement, They clarified that no national treasures or secret symbols were recovered. The find was not a gateway to a hidden world of intrigue, but a fascinating glimpse into the practical challenges of the past. It was a solution to a fundamental problem: how to get water where it was needed before the convenience of turning on a tap. The real treasure was the historical knowledge it offered, not gold or jewels. This discovery of the 1847 cistern helps to clarify long-standing myths about a vast, interconnected network of tunnels beneath the National Mall. While popular culture and conspiracy theories often envision a labyrinth of secret passages, this chamber is a standalone structure. It was built for a single, specific purpose: water storage, and does not connect to any other tunnels or buildings. Its discovery actually helps dispel the more fanciful rumors by providing a concrete example of the practical, utilitarian nature of most of the mall's subterranean features. It serves as a historical anchor, grounding speculation in the reality of 19th-century engineering challenges and solutions. However, this is not to say that the ground beneath the Smithsonian is without its passageways. There are, in fact, several documented functional tunnels in the area, though they are far from the stuff of spy novels. These are staff-only corridors designed for practicality and efficiency. One such tunnel connects the Smithsonian Castle to the neighboring Arts and Industries building. Other passageways link the complex housing the National Museum of African Art and the Arthur M. Sackler Gallery. Another cramped tunnel even runs from the castle to the National Museum of Natural History, allowing staff and materials to move between buildings without navigating public crowds or inclement weather. These existing tunnels, much like the newly discovered cistern, were built to solve logistical problems. They facilitate the movement of art, artifacts, and personnel safely and discreetly between the various museums that make up the Smithsonian complex on the mall. They are more akin to underground service hallways than secret escape routes. The sprawling subterranean center beneath the Enid A. Hauptgarten, which houses 3 separate museums, is another prime example of this practical design. It's a clever use of space that preserves the open, park-like atmosphere of the gardens above, while providing the necessary infrastructure below. By comparing the isolated cistern to these functional tunnels, we gain a clearer and more complete picture of the mall's underground landscape. The area is not a single, mysterious network, but rather a collection of different structures built at different times for different reasons. The cistern represents an early, self-reliant phase of the Smithsonian's history, focused on basic needs like water. The later tunnels reflect a period of expansion and integration, focused on connecting a growing family of museums. Each discovery, whether a water tank or a walkway, adds another piece to this complex historical and architectural puzzle. The unearthing of the 1847 cistern posed an immediate question for preservationists. What should be done with it? Leaving a 30-foot deep open shaft in the middle of a construction zone was a significant safety hazard. However, simply filling it with concrete and forgetting it again would mean losing a valuable piece of history forever. According to Carly Bond, the Smithsonian's Associate Director for Architectural History, the discovery was entirely unanticipated, requiring a careful and thoughtful plan. The solution they devised strikes a perfect balance between safety and preservation, ensuring this window to the past remains accessible for future generations of researchers. The plan is to meticulously document the entire structure before taking any further action. This involves taking high-resolution photographs, creating detailed architectural drawings, and recording precise measurements of its depth, diameter, and construction materials. All of this data will be compiled into a comprehensive report for the project's official archive. This ensures that even after the physical chamber is no longer visible, a permanent record will exist for historians, engineers, and archaeologists to study. The discovery will not cause any delays to the castle's overall restoration project, but it has added a fascinating new chapter to its official history. Once the documentation is complete, the shaft will be carefully filled. But instead of using a permanent material like concrete, crews will use a specialized reversible fill, such as a low-density cellular concrete or a structured gravel mixture. This method will stabilize the ground and eliminate the safety risk, allowing the renovation work to proceed. However, it will also preserve the brick cistern intact beneath the fill. Should future historians or scientists have new questions or new technologies to study the site, the fill can be removed, and the chamber can be accessed once again without damaging its original structure. This careful approach underscores the importance of protecting such finds. This cistern is more than just an old tank. It is a tangible lesson in the history of urban development and water management in Washington, D.C. It teaches us about the self-reliance of institutions like the Smithsonian before the city's infrastructure fully matured. It provides a physical example of 19th century building techniques and the ingenuity required to support grand projects in a pre-modern era. By preserving it, we honor the legacy of those who built it and ensure that its story continues to inform our understanding of the capital's growth and history.